Starlight Racing, all around the world, anchor than ever. Make the like button, burn yourself a treasure. It's litty every turn with trailblazing. Starlight Racing. I love Nate wants to battle, I love him.
Wow, my head's spinning!
Jet, you smell so good. If you were a girl, I'll kiss ya.
Oh, I wish I was a girl.
Yeah.
Whether it be a mashup of car racing and hoverboarding, a game featuring other Sega characters, or simply a game that takes you through different worlds in the Sonic series, which hopefully includes the lost one. It was all of those. Good job, Beetlerats, you get a gold star. So yes, Sonic Racing Crossworlds is a game that is pretty alright. Feel like I should give an instant disclaimer. I am very much not into racing games like that. Like, I don't mind playing some Mario Kart from time to time with friends, but actually having to grind this game out for this video was kinda tiring to say the least, because I had nobody to play with, and again, I'm not super into racing games. But that aside, as far as racing games do go, this one's pretty good. It's certainly better than the last Sonic racing game. Does anyone even remember Team Sonic Racing's existence? It was so fucking bare bones. I don't know why they even made it. But this game, it's got some cool stuff going on. At its core, it's still just your basic kart racer, you know, 3 laps, 12 racers, wacky items, yada yada, stage gimmicks, whatever. It controls nicely, the graphics are polished, and it's got a nice sense of speed. First thing you might notice in this footage, aside from the mods I'm using, which I'm gonna link in the description below, is the return of the extreme gear, which is very exciting. I have literally never touched a car in this game. Hoverboards just have way more aura. It obviously doesn't have all the mechanics of the Riders games. This isn't exactly Riders 4. They play mostly the same as cars, but who cares? It's Sonic on a hoverboard. Or SpongeBob. Or Minecraft Steve. Let's talk about the roster first. The game's base roster is pretty solid, unlike the last racing game, which couldn't even get SBO in there. You got your core cast members, some returning fan favorites like Cream or the Babylon Rogues, a new face in the form of Sage, and my goats, Eggpawn and Zaz. It might have not been Professor Victoria's big adventure, but he still got some relevance this year regardless. That's another sticker for Edelrats. So yeah, good base roster, but in typical Sega tradition, they announced the game would feature a lot of additional content. Some paid, some unpaid. There was the Werehog as a pre-order bonus, which was neat, but I didn't get him because I didn't pre-order this shit. And a free DLC lineup, which at the time of recording this consists of Hatsune Miku, Joker, Ichiban, Knights, Ai, Tangle, and Whisper, which are all pretty cool additions. Sega guest characters are kind of a Sonic racing tradition as far back as Riders, and seeing comic exclusive characters make the jump to a console game is actually pretty huge. However, if they really want to lock in, they'll add the Sega Hard Girls. Please, Sega, I'll even take the Yuji Naka Bunny Rabbit, I don't care. But the paid DLC is when things get a bit weird, as they are just completely random collabs. We got Minecraft Steve, Alex, Creeper, SpongeBob, Patrick, Pac-Man, The Ghost, Mega Man, and Proto Man. I can't say I'm as excited for these because between you and me, I'm kinda sick of everything needing to be some Fortnite-esque crossover where random bullshit is thrown in without any rhyme or reason. I mean, I don't mind Mega Man, Pac-Man, and Steve, they're fellow icons, they mesh well, but SpongeBob definitely reeks of Paramount trying to advertise their service to us. Especially when you consider leaks are pointing towards them also adding Avatar and the Ninja Turtles. Like, come on now, SpongeBob wasn't enough? Do we need the entire Loud family next? It's whatever though, I doubt I'll even be playing this game much into the future anyways, cause again, I'm not the biggest fan of racing games. Next let's talk about the track selection, cause these are kind of a mixed bag. The layouts themselves are fine enough, my biggest issue is mostly just the themes. There's some cool ones here and there, like the pirate ship, or the haunted house, or Coral Town, but most of them are either just bland or a rehash of the same locations we've been seeing throughout the 2010s non-stop. One of the stages that pissed me off the most was Eggman Expo, because it's a cool idea, you know, have a place where Eggman shows off all his iconic contraptions. But the only ones we see are the Death Egg Robot, the Egg Dragoon, and the Force's Death Egg Robot. I swear to God, we need to pry the Generations asset folder from Sega headquarters. But it's whatever, like I said before, the stages are fun to drive on, aside from that fuck-ass Forces stage in Apodos, where I am constantly crashing into walls because everything is so damn tight. And I refuse to go any lower than supersonic speed because we don't do that pussy Sonic racing, we're supersonic racing! Wait, don't cut away to the bit yet, I'm not done with this. The game has some stuff to work at, like if you beat all the characters as rivals, you can get Supersonic, who's obviously banned from online because he's super fast and immune from any attack items. And there's Race Park, a mode in which you could compete against evil AI teams to earn new vehicles via these different minigame modes. It'll be basic team-based stuff where your team has to collect the most rings or hit the most opponents for extra boosts. And there's also the quick match and the super quick match, which all the items are super items. Speaking of items, I find the items in this game to be just kinda eh. You got your basic green shell, red shell, blue shell, and mushroom equivalents, but all of the other items are either just a shield, a thing you can throw, or just a bullet bill equivalent. Like seriously, do we need both laser and drill? They both just skyrocket you to the front. It feels kinda redundant. You can also unlock various jukebox tracks like in Frontiers, which might be a blessing because this game's soundtrack is a mixed bag. Most tracks were done by different people and it shows. You got some really good stuff like Dragon Road, and then there's Apotos. This stage was just a mistake in every goddamn way. I can't wait to crossworld out of here. Let's talk about the crossworld feature. This is the game's main gimmick, and I think it's pretty cool. On the second lap, you go into a warp ring, pop out into another track and sub-track, and then you pop back in. The person in first place gets to choose what track you go to, making it a little strategic. It'll usually be one listed track or some random track, and as the awesome gambler that I am, I'm always picking the random one. Then I pop out into fucking Apotos again, seriously, fuck this stage. But no, it's very snappy, it works well, and it keeps the races varied. It's certainly cooler than driving on boring flat-ass terrain to get to the next track. Ain't that right, stupid Mario? That's right, I like the Sonic game better than yours, but this ain't about him. This ain't Mario in 2025. Get the fuck out of here. So yeah, Sonic Racing Crossworlds, it's good. Not $70 good, dear lord, the things I do for you people. But once that inevitable $20 sale hits, yeah, sure, go pick it up. You'll have a fun time. And the joke this year, come on, it's a racing game. It's too obvious. Do it. Do the thing.
Everybody supersonic racing. Try to keep your feet right on the ground. When you're supersonic racing, there's no time to look around.
Sonic Rumble? Yeah, I hope Sega feels a rumble from under their goddamn headquarters after releasing this shit. The term slop gets thrown around very loosely these days. People kinda use it to describe a series or game they don't like. But to me, slop is something with no artistic merit. Just a byproduct of the capitalistic hellscape we find ourselves in. Sonic 06 was a game forged by man. It had a vision, it had something to say, but it was buried under bugs and tight deadlines. I wouldn't exactly consider it slop, but Sonic Rumble? It's the type of greed the Bible warned us of. A creation not of man, but of devils, to prey on dumb children who love fun colors, Knuckles, and Fall Guys. The cheap Fall Guys gameplay, the billions of currencies and pop-ups telling you to buy new skins. It's all masquerading as a wholesome Sonic party. How this game even made it onto PC is beyond me, because a quote-unquote game like this shouldn't even make it onto this plane of existence. Is this really what Jesus died for? Is this what Yuji Naka would have wanted? Actually, knowing him, probably. But that's not the point. Sonic Rumble is slop. Pure, unfiltered slop. And it should have stayed delayed forever. Stay away from my goddamn children, Garnet Knuckles.
That's good. I'm tasting some beef and shredded chicken. And I think those are red bell peppers. That's awesome. I like this.
IDW Sonic had a pretty quiet year. There's not really a whole lot to talk about this year. Just 8 issues and the Team Chaotix Anniversary one-shot. No miniseries like we normally get, or even any seasonal issues. We were supposed to get this Shadow one-shot that would kick off a new series of one-shots about some of Sonic's friends. That was supposed to drop in early 2025, but it's been delayed to March of 2026. It's not like a ton is even happening in the main comic either. Before I actually talk about the comic, I want to briefly talk about what's now become probably the biggest piece of IDW Sonic news this year. I swear, I finished writing this segment like a week ago and then they go and announce this. Tangle and Whisper have been announced for Crossworlds. I'm far from the biggest fan of these characters. I like them in the comics. I like Tangle's design a lot, not Whisper's. But it's hard to say this isn't cool to see. I mean, this is a spin-off anyways, may as well pull from across the franchise and add all the Sonic characters you can, like SpongeBob and Patrick. It's also easy to forget that these two have been a part of the supposedly canon comic for like almost a decade at this point, so I'd say them finally being in the game is more than deserved. I wish they had actual voices though. Come on Sega, these are your characters. I get it's hard to write and get approval for every single like SpongeBob line, but there's really no excuse for these Sega-owned guys. Anyways, after all that, it's time to talk about the actual comic. Every issue this year has been pretty focused on setup for later. They've wrapped up their previous plot threads, so now the comic feels like it's in this awkward in-between phase, where we're jumping between characters and locations to check up on different things, which will definitely feel better in the future when it's all available to read, but can be pretty deflating when read monthly. So I suppose I'm glad I only ever catch up to IDW for these yearly recaps. That's not to say any of this stuff is bad though. I liked Sonic's random adventures with the Chaotix, where they try to investigate the whereabouts of Clean Sweep's president. Despite not caring about the IDW original characters, I thought the conclusion issue for the whole Whisper and Mimic conflict was well handled. There's also some of the best silver writing in the comic in these issues. I also enjoy the more recent stuff with the whole Lunar plotline. This is seemingly all being done to build up to Sonic issue 100, where all this stuff should collide in a big conclusion. None of this stuff is bad, but it doesn't really have one clear arc that I can point to and say I really enjoyed, like I could say with the Riders arc, or even the Eggperial City arc. It just felt like a very solid set of standalone stories for most of this year. One thing I can for sure say is really good would be the Chaotix Anniversary issue. This was one I was a little surprised to see announced, since they normally do these anniversary issues with the classic incarnations of characters, and the classic Chaotix haven't appeared anywhere since Knuckles Chaotix. So were those designs finally going to appear again after all this time? No. But what the issue actually is was a pretty fun story where the Chaotix recount one of their first cases as detectives, through their different points of view. The main difference being the presentation of each segment. Vector's segment is done with this really harsh lighting in solely black and white. Espio's is also done in black and white, but with more of a manga-esque style, because he's a ninja. And Charmy's is done through these colored pencil drawings that look like they were drawn by a kid. There are also a lot of great moments for the Chaotix. A problem I can have with some of the Chaotix appearances in the modern day is that they're almost taken too seriously as detectives, but this issue manages manages to balance them being fairly competent detectives with that lovable goofball charm that I've always liked about these three. The fantastic presentation, combined with it just being a really fun premise for an issue, comes together to create a really great little special in my opinion. I'd recommend reading this one if you're a fan of the Chaotix. So that's it. Not much to talk about in the IDW space this year. Fuck it. I'll never get the chance to talk about this again. Sonic and the Blade of Courage. Last year I briefly mentioned the Shadow manga, but didn't comment much on it since it was unfinished at the time. But now that it's finished, I'll just say I thought it was surprisingly good, which is why I was excited when it was later announced that the same guy, Yuki Imada, would be doing a manga about Sonic himself, seemingly joined by this random new kid. The premise had some real Sonic X vibes to me, so I was looking forward to this one. As a side note, I'll mainly be using random B-roll for my own Sonic gameplay here, since I think Koro is pretty strict about sharing stuff from this manga around, and I really don't want to be the reason Starlight's channel is struck down. Sonic and the Blade of Courage is a manga starring Sonic and a young boy, Yuta, going on an adventure to stop Eggman from crystallizing everyone in the world as Sonic helps Yuta find his courage. The plot is ankle deep, but so far the character writing is really working for me. Sonic's writing feels taken straight out of Sonic X, which is by far my favorite version of him, and his dynamic with Yuta is pretty entertaining so far. I like how Yuta has that same drive to help others and act on injustice that Sonic does, yet he simply lacks the courage that allows Sonic to take action so quickly. This manga definitely feels like it's geared to introduce Japanese readers more to the world and characters of Sonic. Every time a new one shows up, Sonic's always sure to give a rundown on who they are and what they do. Kinda reminds me of those Japanese Sonic Channel stories where each one is just about a different character and their dynamic with Sonic. But if this bond between Sonic and Yuta stays as solid as it's been throughout this entire manga, this honestly could go down as one of my favorite Sonic stories.
Wow, Blazer, that was a really cool comic segment, but you know, I'm kind of fucking pissed. Why am I stuck talking about lame racing spin-offs and Fall Guys clones while he gets to read these cool Vector the Crocodile comics? You know what? I'm gonna read a comic book. Fuck you, Blazer, I'm taking your job. 10, go fetch me a comic. You got it, buddy! Alright, let's see what we have here. Oh, that's fucking Sonic Prime, you piece of shit! I wanted Vector! Stupid ass motherfucking stupid floating baby, I'll kill you, you fucking reboot yourself, fucking just say out for 2024, I hate you! It's a bit funny to be doing a segment on an unreleased mobile card game, but you need to hear me out, cause this might be one of the biggest events in Sonic history. Sonic Blitz, similarly to Rumble, is a mobile game that has yet to be released outside of select countries. But it's not the game itself that's interesting, it's what's inside the game. You know, just for fun, fans decided to data mine it, like usual. And inside the files were some shocking things. The game seemed to have nearly every Sonic character ever. And I'm not just talking about the modern games, no. There was some classic characters, IDW characters, the Freedom Fighters, Cosmo, fucking Sonya and Manic. They're there, they're in the files. And it wasn't just names. Some characters like Bean and Bark and Mighty had classic and modern models. Fucking Norman from Sonic Rush Adventure had a model. I was watching this all happen in real time, and I felt like my brain was melting. I still can't even really process it. Even my #1 goat, Honey the cat, was there. Do you know how long I've been pushing the Honey agenda? Don't do this to me, Sega. I need to see Honey again. Now look, it's important we take this all with a grain of salt, especially the characters who don't have models. It could very well be the devs just polling random lists of Sonic characters and bullshitting with us or whatever. The final game might not have any of these at all, but just knowing at least one guy in the studio type the words Honey the Cat in 2025, that's enough to keep me going. Some people tried saying it was fake since the descriptions of the characters are ripped from fan wikis, but this game's developed by Rovio, and that's apparently something they do like all the time, so if anything that helps the case. Regardless, I'm interested to see where this goes. Not because I give a fuck about a mobile card game, but because if I see Cosmo from Sonic X return in any way, I think I will legitimately burst into tears. You guys have no idea how much Sonic X means to me. You know, I maybe I'll even do a retrospective on it someday. Wink wink, nudge nudge.
No. You don't get humanity at all. Chaos?
Because I'm an adult with disposable income, I've gotten back into buying Lego sets, specifically the Sonic ones. Cause yeah, why would I be talking about Lego Batman in here? Oh, he's in the thumbnail. Hi, Batman. But yeah, these sets are pretty cool, specifically the ones based on the games, like the Death Egg Robot, Shadow's Bike, Bio Lizard, you know, Tails SA2 Mech. But some of this line's decisions have been really fucking baffling, so let me just rant about it for a sec. You got the Master Emerald Shrine, a great idea for a set, classic Sonic location. However, the Master Emerald is sold separately. You need to buy the Knuckles mech to get it, and like, the Master Emerald does pop into the shrine perfectly. They were clearly designed to go together. But they did DLC for a Lego set. But look, hey, at least the shrine, that's from a Sonic game. What isn't from a Sonic game is Sonic's camping trip or the Team Sonic command truck. Why are they making up bullshit when there is no shortage of iconic Sonic builds they could do? There's locations like Chemical Plant or Station Square, big robots like the Egg Dragoon or Metal Overlord, vehicles like the race car or the gun truck, or even big creatures like Perfect Chaos or Dark Gaia. You don't need to make up random bullshit. Just give us Tails' narcissistic ass smiling friend's ass house. There's also a severe lack of minifig variety, which I get. These are very complex minifigs with unique molds and printing. They probably cost a lot to make, but why not do like at least a CMF series, you know, with some Sonic variants, and throw in some less profitable characters in there, like, I don't know, Mighty the Armadillo? Also, can we please get a brick-built Omega to go alongside Shadow and Rouge? I think that'd be cool. But yeah, these are the sets I built, not just because they're cool and Mecha Knuckles is funny, but I'm also trying to complete my minifig collection. And funnily enough, all I need left are just base Sonic and Eggman. I'd love to get the Death Egg Robot set, since that's from the games and it has Sonic and Eggman, but it's been retired, and I'm too lazy to be buying Legos secondhand. But you know, I think I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet, cause I am not buying Sonic's camping trip or the Sonic Prime robot. I don't need a Sonic who's needlessly pissed off or anything from Sonic Prime.
Officer Bowles.
On Batman Day 2024, the Sonic Twitter account just randomly posted this short little animation of Batman as Shadow. This was a pretty random and out of nowhere announcement that wouldn't be elaborated on for a while, but I think most people expected a larger crossover to come out of it, which we would learn about a few days later in a Sonic Central presentation. It's mostly your pretty standard brand tie-in. There's lots of merch, including shirts, some kind of fucked up looking plushies, action figures, and Funko Pops, of course. All of this merch is centered on these Justice League mashup designs with the Sonic cast, to which I think they did a pretty good job assigning characters based off of traits and personalities, and the designs are just generally nice. I do wish they weren't so New 52 coded though. Between this Justice League lineup and some of these designs, man, it's been nearly 10 years, just let it go already. But I think these are generally some pretty solid designs. Though as a big DC and Sonic fan, I was most excited for the actual comic book, being published by DC themselves rather than IDW. Might as well take a look at the actual comic book now. You know, as a kid, when you'd have this big bucket of toys featuring all sorts of characters, spanning IPs from various toy lines of so many different shapes, sizes, and qualities, and that'd just be like the greatest time ever. This is what DC X Sonic the Hedgehog feels like. The whole thing kind of feels intentionally set up to evoke the feeling of those those big comic crossover events. Something along the lines of the DC Crises and the like. Its main goal seems to be to have as much fun throwing cool shit related to both sets of characters and universes at you as possible, and the premise reflects that. Darkseid just suddenly appears in Sonic's world in search of the Chaos Emeralds, and both Sonic's friends and the Justice League have to team up to stop him. About halfway through the book, Sonic's group gets transported to the DC universe and have to hold down the fort there, while they try to figure out a way to get back to their own world, before eventually reuniting with the Justice League and defeating Darkseid. This series was written by Ian Flynn, which I just know sent some Sonic fans into an absolute frenzy. But I think his brand of references actually kinda works for a comic like this that aims to be nothing more than fan service and spectacle. I was a little worried those references would skew a little more towards Sonic stuff considering the writer, but no, this is a pretty balanced representation of both brands, I think. There's a lot of DC references in here too, like Flash seeing Sonic and thinking he's Crackle. Basically the DC universe's Sonic analog, and there's a vast lineup of DC villains and heroes who appear even outside the main ones. From Darkseid goons like Desaad, Steppenwolf, and Granny Goodness, to the villains and heroes the Sonic characters meet in the DC world like Sinestro, Gorilla Grodd, Mr. Terrific, and a lot more. Issue 3 is probably my favorite for this very reason. The DC universe is so vast, and I love seeing the Sonic characters take on the roles of the Justice League and interact with all that stuff. Though, the Sonic representation kind of disappointed me, since there aren't really as many recurring Sonic villains as there are DC ones, which is why issue 4 is probably my least favorite. It's not bad, but it's mostly DC characters fighting DC villains in Sonic's world. The Deadly Six, Metal Sonic, and Eggman appear briefly, but that's about it. Outside of Blaze, the extended Sonic cast also really doesn't appear in this issue at all, which I think is super disappointing, especially compared to the DC-centric issue. But the main appeal is easily the interactions. With a crossover like this, you want to see characters from both IPs and what their dynamics would be, and I think that's what this series excels at. Some pretty fun dynamics form, like Sonic and Flash's friendly rivalry, Batman and Shadow's clear respect for one another, and Tails and Cyborg exchanging notes. I do think it's a little lame how the interactions are almost exclusively just Sonic character and DC character they've been arbitrarily paired up with, but I get there's too many characters to give everyone dynamics with everybody else in just 5 issues. Finally, you have the art. I've praised Adam Bryce Thomas's action on the IDW Sonic series before, so I knew these issues would be fantastic in that regard when he was announced as the artist, but man, I think he's surely perfected how the Sonic characters are drawn here. And the DC cast looks pretty great too. Except Superman in some specific shots. I don't know what's up with him, but he kind of reminds me of like Gojo or something. There is clearly some liberties taken with how the Justice League was drawn to make them fit more alongside the Sonic cast and world, and I think it came out really fantastic. Everyone's design is so cool and dynamic, which leads to these fucking fantastic fight scenes against Darkseid in issues 2 and 5, where both groups team up and do these cool team moves and shit attempting to take him down. So overall, this is a pretty mindless series, but as a fan of both properties, I had a pretty fun time with this. I honestly wouldn't recommend it if you're only a fan of either Sonic or DC though. It plays around with both franchises too much for you to get the full enjoyment that way. With another comic series being teased starring Eggman and Lex Luthor as antagonists, I hope that one has a bit of a stronger plot without putting the focus solely on spectacle. I also hope to see this crossover expand beyond comics. I'm kinda surprised they aren't straight up adding DC characters to Crossworlds. That felt like an easy slam dunk considering Crossworlds marketing is almost entirely centered around the crossover characters at this point. I also personally really want an animated movie or something, along the lines of something like Batman vs. TMNT. It's hard to tell exactly what the crossover continuing into 2026 really entails, but I do really hope to see more. I love DC and I love Sonic the Hedgehog.
The Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Come inside, it's fun inside.
I've talked about Sonic Prime too much in this video, and I haven't even gotten to Season 4 yet. That's right, Season 4. Contrary to popular belief, it did happen. It just wasn't on Netflix, it was on Tubi. And it was a pretty weird season. I think they completely changed the writing staff and animation teams, and you know, I can't even really put it into words, so I'm gonna show you a little bit of it myself. I think it speaks for itself, really. Hey Tails, long time no see. Say, you're looking a little angrier than usual. You're almost like 9.
Because I am 9, son. I took off the extra tail. Because listen to me. Let me talk. I took off the extra tails. I took off the extra tails because I was done attention seeking.
Okay. One of us. Anyways, okay. Why you here?
Because the Chaos Council is back. They taken over my world.
You mean Dr. Babel? Sorry.
No, not Dr. Babel. This one's even scarier than before. And if somebody doesn't do something about them, well, I might just decide I want attention again.
Whoa, chili dogs! Well, that doesn't sound good. Anyways, didn't the whole Paradox Prism or whatever get destroyed? I mean, how are we gonna find these guys?
I think I can help with that.
You have to sit out again? Oh man, that's a shame. You really don't do a lot, do you? Well, Nine, looks like this is another adventure between me and you.
No, please, I can help.
Anyways, let's... Oh, hi, Peanut Butter Gamer. Anyways, let's go down the loop-de-loop. Well, that was fucking easy.
That's right. I actually couldn't resist the loop-de-loop myself, so I just had to forget all the other dimensions and come here. Anyways, yes, we are here to destroy you, 9, because you're really goddamn annoying. And I'm not alone. I got my other Eggmen.
I'm Wheelchair Eggman. Things have been hard for me since the accident, but I try to keep an open mind with life and take it as it comes, you know? I just miss her so much.
Hey, I'm Burning Eggman. I can't really do this for long, it kinda hurts a little bit.
And what's up with that one over there?
Oh, that thing, I honestly have no idea, man. He kind of scares me. I'm scared to tell him to go away. I'm afraid he's gonna rip my face off like an ape. I think I saw him laying eggs. I'm really scared, but that's besides the point. We're gonna destroy you.
I don't know, Sonic. These guys, like, you're tough, but these guys, I think they're like 10 times stronger than even you. I don't know how we'll even beat these guys.
Gee, aren't you a fucking nihilist? I didn't even try yet.
Oh yeah, it's time for Knuckles time! Oh yeah!
You know, I'm already burning, so this really doesn't affect me that much.
Wow, Knuckles, I never dread seeing you.
He did that so fast! Way faster than your stupid fucking bitch loser ass ever. God, Knuckles the Dread is so cool.
Well, we can't always be in our prime. Sure thing, buddy.
In 1992, I witnessed the murder of 2 children. To this day, I have never spoken up because I fear for my safety. Please help.
Tails, get off!
I'm so sorry.
You know how DreamWorks movies end with awesome dance parties? Well, we're gonna end this with a Fortnite dance party, cause Sonic finally got the long-awaited Fortnite collab everyone was waiting for! It's shoes and a car decal. No jam tracks, cause Crush 40 and Sega have some beef, and no skin, because Sonic's proportions just won't work without looking super awkward, and Sega doesn't want him looking like that. You know what, fuck you, you're not even getting a back bling. We agree with Sega, Sonic is lame and dumb, doesn't deserve to be in Fortnite, Homer Simpson is way cooler, send him into the dungeon with Tato where they belong. Stupid ass fucking Tato, industry plan ass Vocaloid. Back in my day, we would have been asking for the Vrin and Len bundle, or if we were really cool, we'd be asking for Gummy, but no, I love Reddit Tato. Don't ask me to name a Tato song though, ooh, she's so quirky. Tato Pear, fuck you. So that was Sonic in 2025, and it was pretty much a filler year, but I hope you enjoyed regardless. Being a cat is pretty fun. I get to scratch people and shit. We're probably gonna get the next mainline game next year. It's been a while since Frontiers, and whether it's Frontiers 2 or something original, who knows. Hopefully it's as good as Shadow Generations was. Hopefully it has more original stage themes, and hopefully the story actually has stuff going on. And hopefully Sonic Rumble reaches its EOS. Fuck you, Donnie Mustard, this is somehow your fault.
Why the hell am I in a car? And that's why Sonic Drift sucks.